بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. In the last session, we started studying what needs to be done in the first 7 years of child's life. And after referring to some of the practices in the early days of birth, and then some more midterm kind of practices like fostering, now we want to go into a kind of more fundamental approach that we should take in the first 7 years. Our discussion is mainly built around the idea that we find in our hadith about tarbiyah of child being organized in 7 years. The first 7 years, we need to give child freedom, and even we can say right to command, to demand, to order. The child would be like a commander that we need to let him or her exercise their freedom. The second 7 years is for child learning to be obedient to parents who are like wise commanders. And then in the third 7 years, the child is ready to become like a wazir, a helper, an assistant for parents. Of course, doing each of these 7 years in the right way is very important for success in the next one. So for example, you cannot fail the first 7 years and then all of a sudden start the child to be obedient in the second 7 years. So it's very important to have all of these three. There is a hadith that is narrated from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you find it in Basail al-Shia by Sheikh Amili, volume 5, page 195, and also in Makarim al-Akhlaq by Late Tabarsi, page 222. Al-waladu sayyidun sab'a sanin wa abdun sab'a sanin wa wazirun sab'a sanin. The child is a master for 7 years, and then a servant for 7 years, and then a helper for 7 years. So from first year to seventh, from 8 to 14th, from 15th to 21st. In the first 7 years, the child is making sense of himself or herself, the world around, parents, maybe siblings, in you know family, extended family, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, friends, neighbors. Little by little, they come to know more people. They come to go to more spaces. First is home, but then homes of others, sometimes then going to the street, sometimes going to the park, sometimes traveling, seeing different things, hearing different voices, tasting different food, different drinks, smelling different things, touching different things. So they learn how to use their senses, how to use their faculties, how to understand things, and start developing an understanding of the world around them, and also everything based on their own centrality. This is my father, this is my mother, this is my toy, this is my clothes, this is my food, etc. It's very important that in this very sensitive period, the child is not disturbed, not troubled, not challenged, not stopped, let alone being punished, being, severely disciplined, or, ordered to do things, etc., or being, for example, denied love or mercy, etc. It's very important to let child to be growing in an atmosphere of love, support, freedom to do things and enjoy things and experience things as much as they can. Therefore, they can then develop a balanced understanding of themselves and other things, other people. Later, they can learn lots of rules and etiquettes, etc. But the first 7 years, let them enjoy their child. Actually, this is a period that in all your life you will get energy from your childhood. If you had a happy childhood, it's very helpful. Whenever you face problems, or even just you want to recharge yourself, you can think of very good memories of childhood. The food you had, I don't know, the toys, travels, playing, love of your mother, your father, your siblings, etc. So this is the brief introduction to the first 7 years. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quoted as saying, "أولادنا أكبادنا, صغراؤهم أمراؤنا." Our children are like our liver, means they're very dear to us. In Arabic and also in Farsi, it is an expression to say someone is very dear. Sughara'un, our young, very young children, are umara'una, are our commanders. This is interpreted as referring to the same fact that Rasulullah said they are Sayyid in the first 7 years. Means they rule us, they tell us what to do for them. Of course, nothing should go out of limits. Nothing should, be exaggerated or, you know, done in excess. It doesn't mean we let them, do everything, hurt themselves or others, burn things. No, it means that as much as possible, create a safe place for them, a safe environment that they can do things they like, they can experience things, they can play things. If there is something dangerous, remove from that space. If you have sensitive documents or I don't know equipment, etc., and you don't want your child, to play with that, okay, put it in another place. Not that put it in front of the child and keep saying, "Don't play with this, don't play with this." As much as possible, give them freedom, but in a way which is indirectly planned and they don't feel restriction. So we mentioned some of the benefits of this attitude. Number one, in this way, their hidden potentials and their talents can emerge. Because if you let the child to do whatever he or she likes to do, then you will see they may do things that you didn't expect. They may show interest more in certain activities, in certain things. So this is very good. Instead of just telling them, do what I tell you, because I'm training you. Number two, a child that for 7 years is treated like this will develop trust in parents, great love and appreciation for parents. You would always remember that my parents, provided me with whatever I liked, I did as much as they could. They didn't, limit my freedom. They were, showing so much love as if I am the master of the house. So when later you ask the child to be obedient, they will not mind. So this is something that for the rest of their life, there is the second 7 years, which is the time that they should be obedient, or the third, which is they have to be like a helper, and all the rest of the life, they will always appreciate. Normally, you see that children, because of so much love that they have received from their parents, till end of their life, they respect their parents. I'm saying normally, they respect their parents. They know their parents was the best for them. You are always sure that you can count on your mother, on your father. More than 90% of the cases are like this, because you have seen great love for them, especially in those critical years of your life. The third thing is that these 7 years, with the freedom that they have, and then the wide range of activities, etc., will prepare them for the next period. They have lots of conscious experiences. They have lots of activities. They have done lots of playing. They have, interacted with people that we have, planned for them. They have played, for example, sometimes they were hit by, other children. We should not feel this is bad. Yes, children sometimes, play, sometimes they hit each other, sometimes they cry, but the next moment they laugh. It's one of the beauties of children that, as we have in Hadith, يَخْتَصِمُونَ بِغَيْرِ حِقْدٍ. They fight without developing hatred for each other. This moment, they cry, they fight over a toy, for example, or food. Next day, not the next day, next minute, they become happy to pray together. They play together, they laugh together, etc. So this is very good for their preparation for the next stage. The third is that this gives the child peace and tranquility. It's very good for the healthy development of child, whether it's mental development or emotional development. And psychologists also have mentioned this. I like to refer to two hadiths that you might have heard the content, but as hadith maybe You have not heard, or maybe you have heard, I don't know. That, for example, we say many times that, those children that are very active and, maybe naughty to some extent in their childhood, they can have very good future. So one hadith is from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which says, "عرامة الصبي في صغره زيادة في عقله في كبره." If a child, when he's very young, is very active and playing and naughty, would be an increase in his aql, in his intellect, in kibar. Sagar and kibar. Sagar means to be very young, kabir means to be very old. So when they grow, this child will be very, you know, well developed. Or Imam Kazim alayhi salam said, يستحب عرامة الغلام في صغره ليكون حليما في كبره. It is preferable that a son, a boy, when he's very young, to be very active and, naughty, or, playing, doing things, that might not be, very much according to the rules, but a child. But this then would help this child to become patient in future. So those who have really enjoyed their childhood, then they would have more balanced, more reliable adulthood. Fifth, this attitude in the first 7 years help the child to develop an independent personality. We don't want our children to be always dependent on us or on others. They have to learn how to love, how to respect opinion of others, but at the same time undertake responsibility for their life and those who depend on them. So they need to be independent, but not, of course, arrogant. Okay? If for 7 years we let them decide and command and do things as they like and see the consequences, then they can become independent in future. So, one point was to be master, like a master in the first 7 years. We mentioned the benefits. The second thing that we should mention about the first 7 years is that this is the time that the child is very innocent, very immaculate. For example, we have a hadith that it says, وَلَدُكَ رَيْحَانَتُكَ سَبْعًا. Your child is like a beautiful flower, like a smelling plant for 7 years. You must treat your child with maximum love and care and not overwhelm the child with difficult things. Even when it comes to learning, it's better not to start serious teaching in very early years. If you can teach them something in the way that they enjoy, like a playing, like a game, they memorize the Quran, I don't know, they learn certain things, and language, grammar, writing, etc. But in the way that they enjoy as a game and play, that's fine. But if you want to discipline a very young child to stand, for example, in a class, or I don't know, sit, for example, for several hours, and be given, serious, instructions, and deprive the child from being free and enjoying his or her freedom, that is not very healthy. So consider that my child is like a flower and needs to be treated with care, not to be expected too much, not to be, imposed or overlooked. The third thing is that, so the first was to be like master for 7 years. The second was that to remember that they are a Rayhana. The third is that this is the time for playing. Playing has great role in development, healthy development, balanced development of a child. We may think playing is not serious when they study is serious. No, playing is very serious. For them, playing is essential part of their development. It doesn't need to be with very expensive toys. No, it should be with something that give them variety of experiences. Sometimes, the best thing is to play with the things which are around, if it's not harmful. Or prepare for them, get for them simple toys that give them lots of varieties of activities. But sometimes just to play with, things which are items at home, like, I don't know, plates, like, for example, cups, especially if they are not, something that can break, something from, I don't know, safe materials. Sometimes, uh, we can supervise them playing with the sands, for example, with the paste, for example, sometimes painting, sometimes, opening, assembling, and opening, disassembling things. So these are very important part of growth of the child. These times of playing have also important role in the intellectual development, in their creativity. There are different types of games, different types of playing. We need to uh, have some study, or you can find this in other places. But please just don't go for easy options. Just buy for them, for example, I don't know, some electronic games and let them, for hours, use these games, and watch TV, which would be harmful for their eyes, for their mind, too much stress. No, these are not healthy for such children. And from the age of 2 to 4, they learn how to do group activities. This is also very good to put in their mind the idea of teamwork and networking, and the idea of social reliance. The fourth thing we want to mention about that first 7 years is that this is the time for laying the character and personality of children. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha, letter 31, says to his child that when you were very young, وَأَنْتَ مُقْبِلُ الْعُمْرِ, when you had very good intention, the child innocent, ذُو نِيَّةٍ سَلِيمَةٍ وَنَفْسٍ صَافِيَةٍ, I started to do your tarbiyah. So it's the time of tarbiyah. We should not say 2 years old only, this is 4 years old only. No, these are golden years for tarbiyah. As we said before, it's like a fertile land which is not yet uh, planted. Now, some of the practical instruction we would like to say for Mahdawi Tarbiyah. First, Create a Mahdawi space environment at home. For example, when your child finds that you recite Dua Ahd in the morning, on Friday you recite Dua al every now and then you say Ya Sahib al-Zaman, Ya Baqiyat Allah. Maybe you have some frames that relate to Imam Zaman and you will explain to them. And then whenever they look at them, they are reminded of Imam Zaman. So these are very important and they help us connect to our 12th Imam. Also, some of the things that you can softly start teaching to your children at that time in their own language. For example, when your child wants to sleep, many times parents, tell stories to their children or recite some, songs or, what we say in Farsi, lalai. They say something that the child feels peaceful and little by little go to sleep. So we can mention stories related to Imam of our time. We can recite poems which are related to Imam of our time, so that this is mixed with memories and conscious and unconscious uh, mind of the child, instead of using music and songs which are not, meaningful or which are not positively meaningful. Recitation of the Quran, of course, and remembrance of, for example, other members of Ahlul Bayt are all important, but we want to make sure that essential part of it is related to Imam of our time. For example, a Farsi poem, and similar to this can be found in other languages, uh, that can be recited for a child. I'll just read and translate so that you see how the concepts are very simple and at the same time very deep. سلام سلام غنچه ها، سلام سلام بچه ها. Hello, hello blossoms, hello, hello children. روی زمین زیبا یه گوشه همین جا. On this beautiful earth, in a corner, very near, somewhere around, امید آخر ما امام و سرور ما. Our last hope, our Imam, our Master, ما رو نگاه میکنه، همش دعا میکنه. He's looking at us, he's always praying for us. او صاحب زمانه، آقا چرا پنهانه. He is Imam of our time. Why he is in occultation? Why he is hidden? چون بیشتر آدما غافل ز یاد خدا. Because many people are heedless of remembrance of Allah. با کارهای زشتشون شدند اسیر شیطون. By their bad actions, ugly actions, they have become hostages and captives of Satan. آقا امام زمان یار همه شیعیان. Our Master Imam Zaman, who is the support of all the Shia, وقتی که زشتی رو دید از دست اونها رنجید. When he saw these ugly actions, he was annoyed. گفت که هنوز یاد ندارم، عاشق و غمخوار ندارم. He said, I don't have enough helpers, I don't have enough lovers. دیگه غریب و تنها غایب شد از نظرها. Now he is lonely, therefore he is hidden from us. بچه ها بیدار بشین با همدیگه یار بشیم. Children, let us get up and help each other. باید که قوقا کنیم آقا رو پیدا کنیم. We need to do something great. We need to find our master. So, for example, there's a poem that when they are playing or when you want to talk to your children, you can recite such poems and explain. Another thing which is very good is to play with your children. You know, we have this saying that Rasulullah said that من كان عنده صبي فليتصاب له. Whoever has a child should try to be like a child, play like, speak like a child. So if you have children, you need to talk to them and treat them like a child. Play with them. Maybe this play is not something you like or doesn't match your age, but you are playing for the sake of your children, for the joy of your children, health of your children. So it's very important that you become like a child. There's a story that sometimes I have mentioned, discussion about mercy of the Prophet. So it is said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day was going for Salatul Jama'ah and saw some children playing. And when they saw the Prophet, they wanted to play with the Prophet. Even it is said in, for example, Jawam ul-Hikayat, they used to say to the Prophet, kun jamali, become like my camel. Maybe because they have seen Rasulullah, letting Hassanain to, go on his back, and he was, like acting like a camel for them. Now, children of Medina, they felt so comfortable with Rasulullah. Rasulullah was so approachable. They said, become my camel. And Rasulullah was carrying them. And then, when the time of Salat came, Bilal went to find the Prophet and saw that the Prophet is playing with children. So Bilal wanted to separate these children from Rasulullah so that he can go to masjid. But according to this report, Rasulullah said, for me to upset these children is worse than delaying my salat. Because, salat awwalul waqt is very highly recommended. But first of all, it doesn't mean the first minute. It's very important to do it as soon as possible, but it doesn't need to be exactly the first minute after, for example, midday or zawal. But Rasulullah, with so much of love, when he's comparing between upsetting these children and make them cry or delaying a little bit his salat, he prefers to take time, find a solution, not that he leaves his salat altogether or delays too long. No, just it's a matter of a few minutes. So he asked Bilal to go home and bring something. So he found 8 walnuts. Rasulullah was not, keeping many things at home. He had a very simple mind. So he found only 8 walnuts in the house of the Prophet. He brought them, and Rasulullah said, are you happy to sell your camel? Referring to himself. And take these walnuts. So he purchased himself from his children. And they were happily ready to take these walnuts and release Rasulullah. And then Rasulullah went and said, let the Jama'ah pray. This is beauty of Islam. It's not that we forget Salatul Jama'ah, and it's not that we, say to children, that, I am a leader, many adults are waiting for me, why you expect me to play with you? Everything in its place. And all is to move towards Allah and help people to move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by showing everyone fragrance of love of Allah. Where does love of Allah come? Where does love of parents come? All coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you spend time with your children, you play with them, that's the good time also to little by little pass on some messages, very subtle, delicate messages. They love you. Talk to them when you show love to them, you play with them. Not that, you only give them serious lessons and then when they want to play, either you don't let them play or say, okay, go and play. No, you bring yourself to their level, you play with them, and like as two children, then you speak to them and give messages. The fourth point is that we should appreciate the fact that they need to be free and play and create a safe place for them, as I said. If something is dangerous, hide it from them before, or if they have found it, try to somehow direct their attention to something else so that they don't feel bad, they don't feel they are deprived, they don't feel they are denied something that they wanted. Or, for example, if their siblings, for example, they are elder, for example, the siblings, their elder siblings, they go to school, they have their books, notebooks, etc. So they should be kept separate, in a separate place, so that they don't get upset and the child is not also denied freedom. And also, it's very important that as community, as society, of course, we provide our young children also some good places which are safe and good, like parks, for example. If in our centers, we can have places for children also to play, sometimes alone, sometimes together. That would be very important. And the fifth is that they should be given opportunity for having creativity and creative activities. So this is also very important for having experiences, and we should not interfere too much in their creativity. We should not necessarily buy expensive toys that we like or we think are very good. I want to buy the best thing for my child. Maybe the child is not going to benefit from this as much as the child can benefit from something very simple. Also, we should not stop, for example, if three children are playing, as soon as, for example, we see that one child wants to take something from my child, I interfere, or, if they are doing little fighting, we should not interfere quickly. Let them be as children and don't, restrict their freedom. And give them some responsibilities. They want to eat, they want to drink, give them responsibilities as much as it is possible and is safe. Okay, inshallah, bi'iznillah, in the next session, we will talk about the second 7 years. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us and our children and keep us always on the right path, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.